My name is Samuel Morrison. This is Elementary English. Welcome. Today we're going to go over analyzing specific sections of a text for author's purpose in keywords and phrases. So I know analyzing specific sections of a text for author's purpose in keywords and phrases is a long phrase in and of itself. But basically, what it means is we're going to identify from specific phrases and keywords why the author wrote what the author wrote. So if you think about this as an investigation, we're going to look at a piece of text. It could be a newspaper, it could be a book, it could be an article, it could even be a menu at a restaurant. And we're going to ask ourselves, we're going to put on our investigator hat and think, why did the author write this exactly as they did and for what purpose? So get ready to learn about author's purpose and the three types. The three types of author's purpose are as easy as pie. And yeah, you heard that right, pie, P-I-E. The first type of author's purpose, the first reason that an author would write something is to persuade. So persuasive writing tells the reader what you ought to do or what you should not do. So the first reason an author might write something is to tell you what to do. You'll see a lot of these examples in advertising, especially on social media, and you'll see a lot of these persuasive writings whenever the author wants to have you think a certain way or perform some action or refrain from doing so as well. The second part of that PI acronym after P is the letter I. I stands for inform. When the author writes an informational piece, it's to teach you something. It's to inform you of some information. You can think about this mostly when you're reading something and you think you're learning or you think that you're being taught something new. Oftentimes that's informational. A lot of informational writing is written in a specific formal way. You can think about scholarly articles and anything you've read, even to the informal articles like online Wikipedia, where you're just learning and learning and learning all sorts of information. There it is, inform the author's purpose. The last part of that acronym of PI is the letter E. Now this one is a personal favorite of mine because E stands for entertain. There's a phrase that says art for art's sake, and that's exactly what this is. It's telling you a story. It's fun to read. It exists just so it can exist. So what we'll do together now is identify the author's purpose based on those three options in a few examples together, you'll see. As we look at these examples, remember, it's as easy as pie. P-I-E, persuade, inform, entertain. Let's look at some examples together and try to sort them out. For our first example, we see a recycle poster, probably in the hallway at school or maybe at a place of work. The three words on top say reduce, reuse, recycle, and then we see a few directions of how to do so and why you should do that. Let's think, is this to persuade, to tell us what to do? To inform, give us facts, statistics, and information? Or entertain, to tell us a fun story, to exist merely for the purpose of existing? To me, I see right here three things that I'm being told I should do, namely reduce, reuse, and recycle. So because the author is telling me what I should do by reducing, reusing, and recycling, we can identify this as persuasive writing. We can identify this as the author persuading the reader. Let's look at another example. For our second example, we see a menu at a restaurant. Now let's think again. Are we being told what we should or shouldn't do? Are we being given information about food, descriptions, and prices? Or are we being told a story? Sometimes you'll have more than one. And in this case, we do. We're being told we should order some things. We're also being given a lot of information. And there's a fun little story about the restaurant at the bottom. But for the most part, we can identify this as understanding the facts and the data, the prices, the descriptions, the names of the meals. We're being given a lot of information. So the author's purpose is to inform. Exactly. Let's look at another example here. Now, this is an epic novel that was the bestseller at the library this past year. And we can see it's Captain Underpants and the Big Bad Battle of the Bionic Booger Boy. Wow, what a title. Now this seems to me like the author wrote this, well, let's think, to tell us that we ought to be like that, to give us information, data, or to just tell us a fun story. Exactly, you guessed it, that fun story, even in the title and the artwork and the cover, we can see that this is a story just for the story's sake. It's entertaining. It's the last part of that acronym. We're gonna look at 3 more examples a little bit more quickly this time so that you can practice on your own. Here we see a poster that asks us to clean our hands and care for our hands. Caring hands, cleaning hands, washing hands can significantly reduce the spread of infection, so you should wash your hands with soap and water or use antibacterial rinse gel before entering and upon leaving any room. Exactly. Let's think. Are we being told what to do, given information, or told a story? Yep, we're being told that we should wash our hands. So this will be persuasive, where the author is trying to persuade us, tell us what to do. This next one, we see a gentleman reading the newspaper, a story that appears to be about the astronauts returning safely home. Is this a story where we hear a fun tale of adventure, we hear information about the mission, or it's being told to do something? I think it could be both, inform or entertain. We're probably going to hear a fun story about the astronauts and their voyage to the moon, but mainly we're going to hear the details, when they left, what they did, when they're returning home, and who will be there to greet them. So this one would mainly be informing. Lastly, we see the cover here of a book that was then made into a movie and a play that is wildly famous called The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. We can tell just based on the cover that this story is, well, I gave it away, a story. It exists to entertain us, to tell us a story, and the author wrote it for that purpose, to simply share a story with us so that we may be entertained and experience art for the sake of art. So I hope this has been helpful to you to identify author's purpose and find where, with persuasive, informative, and entertaining pieces of writing. Remember, whenever you're set to find out the author's purpose for writing something, it's usually one of those 3. P-I-E, pie, persuading you, telling you what you ought to do, giving you information, informing you of some new development, or simply entertaining you, telling you a story for the sake of hearing a story. So that concludes our lesson for today. Let's think about one more time that acronym. What is it? P-I-E, pie. Exactly. When you think you need to find author's purpose, it's as easy as pie. Persuasive, informative, entertaining. So I hope this has been helpful, and remember, this week you can practice too. Try to find one of each of those types of writing around your house. I bet you'll find all 3 of them in the newspaper, in a magazine, even in a book, or you might have to find 3 different sources to find each of those 3, but it's a lot easier than you think. You can do it. So continue to improve, practice, and identify the author's purpose. It has been my pleasure to have you today in class. My name is Samuel Morris, and we'll see you next week.
Welcome back. This is the second part of a lesson we started last week where we were working with customary units measuring system, and today we're going to be using metric, and we talked just a little bit about that last week. So let's use what we learned about converting between units to do it with a new system. For our Just Know It today, here we go, Just Know It, we have a conversion chart here. 1 meter equals 1,000 milliliters. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters, so it seems like there's some base 10 relationship here. 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters, so then we can convert between all of these. So let's look for a pattern here when we do some conversion. So 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So 2 meters, 200. 3 meters, excuse me, 300. 4 meters, 400. 5 meters, 500. Now we got to 10 meters, and we know that 5 meters is 500, or we could just do 10 times 100, and we would get 1,000 centimeters. So 20 meters would be double that, 2,000 centimeters. Let's move on to this side. 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. 2 kilometers, 2,000 meters. 3 kilometers, see the pattern? 4 kilometers, 4,000. 4 times 1,000. 5 kilometers, 5,000. 10 kilometers, oh my goodness, 10 times 1,000. 10,000 meters. And then finally, 20,000. That's a really long distance. Wow. Great job with just knowing it today. All right, we're moving on to figure it out. Let's do it. So I have 3 word problems here, and we are going to pick 2 of them to solve. We have one about Kendrick, one about Drake, and one about Beyonce. Let's see. I think I want to start with Kendrick. Let's do Kendrick. Kendrick walked 500 meters per day, every day for 1 week. How many kilometers did he walk all together? So we have 500 per day for 1 week, and we know there are 7 days in the week, so that's times 7. How many kilometers did he walk altogether? I think instead of doing a multiplication problem here, what makes sense to me is to make a tape diagram where I put 500 7 times, and then I can group them because I know on my conversion chart that 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So let me show you what I mean. So here we go. If I want to do a tape diagram, I can draw, and I want to have 7 spots. I'm going to draw 6 lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 500, 500, 500, 500, 500. That is a lot of walking. Okay, and now I can group this is 1 km. Another km. Another kilometer, and then I have 500 meters left over. So let's go back and count how many that is. 1, 2, 3, and 500 meters. So that would be half of a kilometer. So I'm gonna write 3 1/2 kilometers. Cool. Let's go down to Beyonce. Beyonce danced all around the track 3 times. Seems important. The track was 400 meters. How many kilometers did she dance all together? So 3 times. 1, 2, and it was 400. That's a lot of dancing. Okay, so 404, I know 4 times 3 is 12. So I can use my knowledge of 4 times 3 to use with 400 times 3. So 400 times 3, so that would look like 400 has inside of it 4 times 100 times 3. So I'm going to do 4 times 3 is 12 times 100. So now I'm thinking of my place value. I'm going to move over 12 on the place value chart, 10 times 10 times 10, and that's going to give me 1,200. So, but this is asking for it in kilometers. We solved for it in meters. I know, according to my chart, 1,000 meters are in 1 kilometer. So I have 1,200 meters. So I have 1 kilometer and 200 meters. Let me move that over a little bit. There you have it. We solved some problems for Figure It Out. Nice work. Let's move on to what's new. Well, it's not as new as you might think. Last time, in our first part of this lesson, we worked on the customary system with feet. We worked on it with gallons, but we spend most of our time working with some weight, doing pounds and ounces. And today we're going to focus on the metric system. A lot of places in the world use the metric system, meter, liter, and gram for length, capacity, and weight. So let's reread that learning target that matches what we're going to be focusing on today. I can use different units to measure, and we can convert between those units. So remember, converting means finding the equivalent unit, maybe in a smaller unit or a larger unit like we did with our Just Know It and Figure It Out. So let's take a look at some bare number problems and maybe a word problem to see what we'll be working on today for what's new. Let's grab some tools to do some mathematical thinking together. All right, we're working on the metric system, so we're finally finding equivalents. So 1 kilometer we know equals 1,000 meters. So 4 kilometers, 4 times 1,000 would equal 4,000. 7 times 1,000 would equal, 7,000. Now we're going the other way, 18,000 meters. So how many thousands are in there? 18, so that's 18 kilometers. 1 meter equals 100. Centimeter, this means 100, okay? So 3 meters, 3 times 100 would be 300. 80 meters equals how many? Let's make a place value chart. So if I have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and I have 80, that's 8 tens, 0 ones. I'm multiplying it by 100, so I need to move it over 2 times. So this would be times 10, and then times another 10, that equals 100. So I'd have 8 here. I have to move this one also, and I end up with 8,000, okay? Or another way of looking at that is 80 hundreds, okay? 12,000 centimeters to meters. So now we're going the other direction. I'm going to use this space over here. So I have my ones, my tens, my hundreds, and my thousands, okay? So we have 12. Well, I have to add my 10,000s, whoops, 10,000. So we have 1 10,000, 2,000, 0, 0, 0. So we're just adding this, or not adding it, but placing it on our place value chart. We're going 2 meters, so that means we're basically dividing. The meter number is going to be smaller, although they're equal in distance. The more centimeters, centimeters are smaller measurements, so you need more of them to be meters. So I'm going to divide by 100. That means that these divided by 10, divided by 10. So my 10,000s will end up in the hundreds, and my thousands divide by 10 will end up in the tens. So I end up with 120 meters. Well done. Let's do a word problem. Read, think, draw, write. Here we go. What's new? Enya walked 2 kilometers, 309 meters from school to the store. So if I imagine school to the store, thinking about it. Then she walked from the store to her home. Store to her home. If she walked a total of 5 kilometers, how far was it from the store to her home? Oh, I did my arrows wrong. So she walked from the school to the store. I have to think about it. School to the store, then she walked from the store to her home. So these distances might not be the same amount because she wasn't going back and forth. Okay, so she walked, so we read and we're thinking about it. I think it's gonna be subtraction because we know the total is 5 kilometers for this, but we know one part of this is 2 km, 309 m. We don't know this part. So we drew a model and let's do an equation. So 5 km, kilometers, minus 2 kilometers, 309 meters equals, and let's make it D for distance. D equals distance to home. Okay, so I'm gonna do my kilometers first, 3 kilometers, and now I'm left with my 309 meters equals D. Now inside of 3 kilometers is 2 kilometers and another kilometer, which is equal to 1,000 meters minus 309 meters. Now I've converted that to meters and now I can do my subtraction because they're the same. Okay, so I know that 1,000 minus 300 would be 700, but I don't have 700, or I don't have 300, I have 3,009. So I know that it's gonna be 9 less than 700 because I have 9 more here. So my total here is gonna be 2 kilometers, and after I subtract this, so it's not 700, it's gonna be 700 minus that 9, so that'd be 691 meters equals D. And there you have it. All right, let's go to try it, where you get to take what you learned with me and try it on your own at home. So I have some try it problems here. I'll hold them up so you can see them a little better. I want you to choose one, or maybe you want to do both. Ed lined up 10 guitar picks across his desk. Each pick was 12 millimeters wide. How many centimeters long was his line of guitar picks? So think about how you could use that tape diagram or other type math model to help you solve and envision this. And then you're gonna put it into centimeters. So think about that. Pause this if you can, if you wanna jot down the most important information from this problem. Or you could do Selena. Selena sang while she rode her bike down a block that was 50 meters long. How many millimeters did she ride? And you are gonna take it from meters to millimeters. So you'll wanna remember that conversion chart we did earlier, or you can make your own to refer to as you're solving these problems. Really proud of the work you did today. All right, it's time to say goodbye. So glad you could join me today. Let's end with a cool, way cool. Here we go. Cool, way cool. Thanks for watching.
Hi there, I'm Mr. Steinauer, and this is Science. Today we're going to be talking about energy conversion. So you'll want to keep all of your notes if you've still got them from our previous energy lessons, because today we're going to talk about what it means to convert energy and how energy gets converted. As far as what we'll talk about today, all you'll need are those notes if you've still got them, especially that energy flower diagram that you created a couple of lessons ago. Other than that, you're just going to need a piece of paper or something to write on and something to write with to help you keep track of any notes that you'll be taking around energy conversion or converting energy. At the end of our lesson together, I'm going to ask you to find 3 ways that energy is converted. So for that reason, you might want to be writing down what we talk about. That'll help you when you're done here. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Before we get into what energy conversion is, what it means to convert energy, let's review this question from our previous lesson. Can energy be destroyed? And a question similar to it, can energy be created? No, energy cannot be destroyed and energy cannot be created. All of the energy that there is in the whole entire universe is here now, and it's the same energy that we've had for billions of years. The only thing that changes about energy is the type of energy that that energy takes on. For example, when we stomp into the ground, our energy goes into the ground and changes type. It starts out as kinetic energy and then changes into vibrations. In fact, if you are in an apartment building or in a house and someone's above you, they can convert their stomping into sound energy, sonic energy that you can hear above. That is how energy works. It changes form all the time and it moves from place to place and from thing to thing, but it is never destroyed and it is never created. In fact, we call that the law of conservation of energy. In science, things are only a law when we know them for certain. And the law of conservation of energy states that energy is not created or destroyed. It can only change. So keeping that in mind, the law of conservation of energy, let's start to think about what is conversion. What does it mean to convert energy? So we know energy isn't going anywhere, just changing form. So that brings us to the how. How do we transform energy or change from type to type? We do that through conversion. If transforming is the what, then converting or conversion is the how. The way that things transform from state to state is in that process of conversion. So going from one kind of energy to another is transforming, and how things transform is through the process of converting or conversion. Energy conversion is how energy is transformed from one type to another. We're going to talk through 3 different ways that energy converts from one type to another. Now, just a reminder, a little bit of a refresher here, this is our energy flower diagram we made a couple weeks ago. This includes the 8 kinds of energy that we've been discussing so far. So we know energy is the ability to do work, and there are a variety of kinds of energy. For example, when something falls from the sky, like a comet, it's pulled down to Earth by the gravitational energy of our planet. Now, as that asteroid or comet collides or runs into air, simply air in our atmosphere, that air rubs up against the comet or the asteroid, and that creates friction all around the asteroid or comet. That creates a result of friction is thermal energy. So by that process of falling toward Earth, being pulled down, gravitational energy is being transformed into thermal energy or being converted into thermal energy. Often that conversion is so strong from gravitational to thermal that many asteroids or comets will burn up in our atmosphere before they even land on the surface of the Earth. They burn up in the atmosphere because of the conversion of gravitational energy to thermal energy by friction. The first kind of energy conversion that we're going to focus on, the first of our 3 kinds, is renewable energy. Some energy sources are renewable. They can be converted again and again. Now, when we talk about renewable energy, we're talking about energy that gets converted into electrical energy. Turbines here. What kind of energy gets converted by a turbine into electrical energy? Wind. More specifically, the kinetic energy of that wind, of wind blowing, the motion energy of wind blowing. As the turbine turns, as the windmill blades turn around from that kinetic energy of the wind, that turning then causes a motor to turn, which creates electrical power. So from wind energy moving as kinetic energy to mechanical energy, the actual movement of the turbines, to electrical energy. That is a renewable resource. Wind will always blow. There will always be air on Earth. And as long as we have the sun's energy to heat that wind up, that wind is going to move around. Now over here, what do we call these? You might have seen these before on houses or even in yards or outside of other buildings. They're called solar panels. Now, solar panels are using another renewable energy source. What's a renewable or reusable energy source that solar panels use? They use the sun, solar energy, sol, the Latin word for sun. These solar panels here, they convert that sunlight into electrical energy using photovoltaic or light electrical technology. Solar panels are a human-made version of the process of photosynthesis. Plants are the perfect energy producers and consumers. They simply take sunlight, a little bit of carbon dioxide, and convert that into sugar that gives the plant energy. Then a leftover product of that is oxygen. Here though, this is a renewable conversion of energy from solar energy, energy from the sun, that's light energy or electromagnetic energy, and that gets converted into electrical energy, a different kind of electromagnetic energy that we use to power our city or to power our homes. Now, renewable energy sources are perfect. They're great. They don't produce any pollution, and they can be used over and over again. There will always be wind. There will always be kinetic energy in the wind for us to harness for electricity. There will always be sunlight shining on us that we can harness or use for electricity. Some energy sources, in fact, most of the energy sources that we use in the United States are non-renewable. They can only be converted one time. Most non-renewable resources that we use to create electricity are fossil fuels. We've talked about fossil fuels before. Fossil fuels are interesting in one way in that their energy is a chemical energy that comes from having been alive. If you give a tree enough time, tens or hundreds of millions of years, that tree might actually convert into a chemical energy like coal or gas or oil. Now, all three of these things are not perfect. We can burn them, but we can only burn them once. And in fact, to get electrical energy from them, you have to burn them. And you might have seen these before, smokestacks. This is a power plant. And you see those smokestacks that smoke coming out is dirty and gray. That's because it is dirty, it's polluted, and it has carbon dioxide and other gases that add to what's called the greenhouse effect on our planet. That traps more and more heat energy, thermal energy from the sun in our planet. Non-renewable resources won't last forever. We can and we might burn up all the coal, oil, and natural gas that exists on our planet. If we lean toward the renewable resources, we can create cheap, even free ways to collect energy. Imagine your family not paying anything for an electrical bill, but your electricity is constantly provided. That's a benefit that only renewable energy resources can give us. I want to take a moment too to talk about some other energy conversions. When we convert energy, we're not always creating electricity. We're not always powering our cities. We talk through two different ways to convert or change energy from one type to another. Remember, converting is the how things transform. How energy transforms is through converting. Now let's take a look briefly at some other ways that we can convert energy. Without energy conversion, there would never be music. What a sad world that would be. Music comes from a combination of a couple things. Our imagination, what we want to play, what we think about playing, and then of course the movement of our body to create mechanical energy. We may be sending out air when we're playing the trumpet, or we may be strumming our fingers when we're playing the guitar or another stringed instrument. That's mechanical energy. Energy of motion that we send out with a push force from our body, or that we send by moving our fingers and causing strings to vibrate. Now it's your turn. Identify 3 ways that energy can convert. Find one way that is renewable, one way that is non-renewable, and one other way that energy is converted. As always, it's been my pleasure having you in class today. My name's Mr. Steinauer, and I'll see you next week.
Welcome back to PE with Karina, also known as Coach K. And we have a special guest here. He's an alumni from Foreign Language Academy, which is where I teach. And his name is Torrent, and he goes to Lincoln Prep, and he's on the basketball team. And he is class of 2021. So, welcome back. In this next segment, we are still focusing on one of our health-related fitness components, which is cardiovascular endurance. So in our last segment, we went over 5 different exercises that can improve your cardiovascular endurance. Once again, what is cardiovascular endurance? Cardiovascular endurance is where your heart, your lungs, and your muscles work together while you're exercising for a long period of time. And you need cardiovascular endurance to be on the basketball team. So, in this segment, all you need is a table of whatever size. It can be small or large. And you need 1 plastic cup. You can find these around the house. Make sure it's plastic, not glass. Plastic cup you can find around the house, in your kitchen, or you can go to the dollar store, grab a bag or a pack of plastic cups for $1. So all you need is 1, and you need a table, square table, round table, it doesn't matter. And you're gonna have your cup at the end of the table. So this challenge today will improve our cardiovascular endurance. But we're going to do a little fun way to improve our cardiovascular endurance. It is called a flippy cup cardio challenge. So I'm going to challenge me and Torin to see who can get the most points in 1 minute. The way this game goes, you grab your cup, set it at the end of the table, and you want your cup to be halfway at the end. So not fully on the table, but partially off the table where it's still standing. So in order to earn 2 flips, you have to run around the table twice, and then you'll come back to the cup, use your finger to flip. Oh, so that would be a point for me. Every successful flip that I get will be 1 point. And then I run around the table to get 2 more flips and try to get however many points I can get in 1 minute. So I'm going to go first because ladies first. And then Torin is going to go next to see who can get the most points between us 2. Once again, you need a table and a plastic cup. Have it at the end. So let's have Torin demonstrate what it looks like. So he's going to run around the table twice. He was actually supposed to run around the table once. But it's okay, but I said twice. Now he earns 2 flips. Go ahead and flip. He gets another. Try it again. Okay, that's 1 point. Now he has to run around again 1 time to earn 2 more flips. Try it again. But he still has to run around. So even if you don't successfully flip the cup over, you still get to run around and earn 2 flips. So I'm going to go first. We're going to see how many points I can get in 1 minute. Okay, so make sure you move out the way. Make sure you have space to run around so you don't trip or fall over anything. So I'm going to start. I'll start running around once in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Flip. Ooh. I get another. Ah! Okay. No point. Woo. 1 point. Okay. Woo. 2 points. Ah. Okay, I get another. No point. So I'm at 2. Up 3. see. Come on. One more. Oh, boy. I got 10 more seconds. Five, 3, 2, and 1. And I got 5 points. Torin is up. Let's see how many points can he get in 1 minute. Starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. He gets 2 flips. More. Oh, run around. Come on, concentrate. Come on, take your time. Run around. Yes, you can. Come on. All right, there we go.
Okay, that's one.
No, run, go. What's that, 1?
Yeah, oh, that's 2.
Okay, 2. Oh, 3.
Somebody.
Come on, you got 2 seconds. Can he beat 5? Ooh, 4. Don't let him beat me. Another one. You got 7 seconds. 5. Is he gonna be 5? 3, 2, 1. Ooh. So, Tori got 6 points. Karina got 5, but that's just, luck. So, I want you to try this at home. It's really fun if you have other people competing with you to see who can get the most points in 1 minute. And you can even do 2 laps around the table if you want to improve your cardio and vascular endurance even more. Or you can do 3. You can change the game however you want to make it harder or to make it easier. And you can do it with a group of people to see who can get the most points in 1 minute or however long you choose. Remember, cardiovascular endurance is where you use your heart, your muscles, and your lungs. They all work together while you're exercising, and you can exercise playing a game. There's a lot of different fun ways that you can improve your cardio and vascular endurance. And this will help you sustain physical activity over a long period of time. So this was a pre-warm-up for Torin because he has to get ready for a basketball game, and he needs to make sure that he's working on his cardiovascular endurance to run up and down the court. So thank you, and I hope to see you next week for another fun cardio challenge.
All right, welcome back to our next segment. On our last segment, we stopped with working with our kibasa. So now we're moving into actually playing on the drums. So we're going to start off with using a practice pad, which is what you see in front of me, and we're going to use drumsticks, okay? So there's 2 methods to holding the drumsticks. One is match grip. Match grip is actually where you have your thumb to the side and your fingers are around the stick. Now you don't want to grab the stick like you're holding a baseball bat, because then the stick won't bounce, okay? And the other one is just match it, okay? So you want the sticks to be able to bounce, all right? So you just gotta keep making sure that they bounce so it's working for you. Another stick position is called traditional grip, okay? Traditional grip is actually the match stays, your right hand stays the same with your fingers around the stick, and you're actually taking the stick between your thumb and putting it between your index finger, okay? This is called traditional grip. You still want the sticks to be able to bounce. That's very important, okay? And the drumsticks that I use are Vic Firth. I use Vic Firth because it has a flag on it and it tells you the balance point of the stick. So if I dropped it, the stick will keep bouncing because that's my balance point. Same thing with the left. If I bounce, let it drop, it's going to bounce like so, okay? So just remember, this is called traditional grip. This is match grip. So if you really watch a lot of HBCU marching bands, you see them playing traditional grip. They play with this way, okay? Other corp style schools normally play match grip. because they're normally using a carrier. HBCUs use a strap, which is a whole nother subject. Okay, so in front of you, you see the rhythm tree, something that we've been working with for the last few segments. And we're going to jump into eighth notes and 16th notes, okay? So an eighth note is, it gets a half of a beat, okay? Just like we said that a quarter note gets a beat and a half, which is 2 eighth notes into it. An eighth note is just a half of a beat. So it would be and or one. So if it was tied together, it would be one and. So if I was playing that, it would be one and. Okay, and we know a quarter note is just one and. So if I put 2 eighth notes and a quarter note together, it would be 1 and 2 and. Okay, because I just used eighth notes and I just used a quarter note. Okay, so let's look at our first exercise on the screen. We got exercise number 1 where we got eighth notes, quarter notes, and 16th notes. Okay, so let's play our first exercise and we're going to count out loud. Make sure you count out loud so that you can get every beat a count, okay? We're doing subdivision, like we talked about before. Everything is subdivision. From here on out, we're gonna be subdividing, okay? So we're gonna play exercise number 1, all right? Ready? Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. Great job. So if you did that, you did outstanding. You're on your way to become a great drummer, or should I say percussionist, okay? So let's jump down to exercise number 2, where we actually got 16th notes, and we also have a quarter note and more eighth notes, okay? So let's play exercise number 2. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the time signature, okay? In exercise number 1, we was playing at 4/4 time. Exercise number 2, we jump into 3/4 time. And remember, the top number tells you how many beats are in a measure. The bottom number tells you what beat gets what count. So in this one, for instance, we have the 4. 4 represents the quarter notes. So quarter notes get 1 count each, okay? But we're doing exercise number 2, which is going to be 3/4 time, okay? So there's only going to be 3 beats in a measure, all right? 3, not 4. Okay, so let's try that. Let's play exercise number 2. I'm going to count us off. You ready? Here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Great job. Outstanding. And you remember to count to 3. You didn't go to 4. So you are batting 100. Okay, so let's jump down to exercise number 3, where we actually go into 2/4 time. Now you have to remember that each measure is going to be 2. Not 3, not 4, but 2. Okay, so let's try exercise number 3. Remember, it's in 2/4 time. All right, here we go. I'm going to count it off for us again. 1, 2, ready, play. 1 and 2 and 1 E and a 2 and 1 and 2 and. Great, that was short. It was short because we had our short time signature, which is 2/4 time. Very short. Okay, so I want to spend some time really going over the rhythm tree so that you can really make good sense of it. So going forward, we won't have to slow down and go back over it. Okay, so let's jump into the rhythm tree. The rhythm tree starts with a whole note on the top, okay? Everything branches off like a tree. That's why it's called the rhythm tree, okay? So at the top, we see a whole note, and we know that a whole note gets 4 counts. So if we were subdividing, it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? So the whole note branches off to a half note, which gets 2 counts, okay? Which is 1 and 2 and. And then those quarter notes branches off the half note, okay? And we know a quarter note is just going to be 1 and, okay? And then off the quarter notes come the eighth notes. 1 and 2 and, 1 and 2 and, okay? So that's where you get the rhythm tree. The same thing applies for the rest. The rest are the same thing, but remember, we don't play on rest, but we count on rest. Okay, it's a silent count. When we say silent count, you're still counting, but you're not playing. Don't play on rest. Rest means stop. Okay, So after explaining that to you, let's jump into some sheet music where we're actually using half notes, whole notes, and quarter notes. Okay, so let's jump into that now. So this is relatively easy because remember, I already wrote the countdown for you. All right, so it's underneath the music. And I did this so you can get used to counting out loud and see where the counts fall with the notes. Okay, but in the real world, you're not going to see that underneath your music. And like I stated before, you can always write on your music, but make sure that you write in pencil, never in pen. Okay, so on our last exercise, I think I played match grip. Pretty sure I did. So now I'm going to change from match grip and I'm going to go to traditional grip. Okay, so let's play our exercise. Let's play 1 through 6 just to get going good. Okay, because we got some 16th notes in there and I want to give you time to actually see them. Okay, always read ahead. It's like reading a book. When you read music, you want to read ahead so you know what's coming up. All right, so let's get started on that. So I'm going to count it off and we're going to play it. Remember, we're going to play 1 through 6. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and great job. You did an outstanding job. You caught all those 16th notes. You've seen the 8th notes. That is great. You're doing a great job of reading. That's very important. Good musicians can read and play by ear, and you are learning to read music. All right, so you did a good job with that. Now, let's try to play this whole piece all the way through. Okay, so we're going to start from measure 1. And we're going to go all the way down to measure 21. And I know you can do it because I'm going to count it slow. Slow and easy is the way to do it, not fast, slow. You can always speed things up, but you want to always start at a slow pulse or a slow tempo, which means the same thing. All right, so I'm going to count it off really, really slow so we can have time again to read ahead, just like reading a book. All right, here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 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 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4 and 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and great job. And you even called it at measure 20 where those 8th notes were not beamed together. They were separate, but it's still the same count. Just because something is not beamed together does not mean it doesn't get the same count. It does. Just like 16th note, if 16th notes were separate, it's still the same thing. It still gets the same count, okay? You guys did good reading this music. You're coming right along, reading 16th notes, 8th notes, and quarter notes. You're doing outstanding. So keep up the good work. See you next time.
Lincoln Middle.
At Lincoln Middle School, students discover their talents and passions, where teachers plant the seeds of lifelong learning,
I am Lincoln Middle.
where excellence is nurtured. Students develop the skills to be successful in school, career, and beyond.
Je suis Lincoln Middle.
Lincoln Middle is the public school where your child will thrive and grow. Open a world of possibilities. Apply today. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Lincoln Middle.
Kindergarten is great at Kansas City Public Schools.
I know they have really good teachers. I know this is a great school.
They teach them stuff that I thought my kids would never be able to know at the age of 5.
Since deciding to send our kiddos to a neighborhood school, we've become even more of a part of our community.
Now is the time to enroll your future kindergartner for the new school year. Visit enrollkc.org today.
The desire to create lives within each of us. From Grammy-winning producers and musicians, to NBA stars, to Navy admirals and Medal of Honor recipients, to internationally renowned artists and beloved local muralists, Paseo graduates have been creating their own success, their own history, their own legacy since 1926. Now it's your time. Create your future at Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Paseo.